remember those. So now let's see what dry run is. Dry run, any code you write will generally require the use of screen and memory. Okay, even programs, generally you show certain things on the screen, you accept from the keyboard, variables memory will be handled, and so on and so forth. So we will definitely, for dry running purpose also, we will need the screen and the memory to deal with. So let's go through that and see. So for dry running also we will need those same two things, the screen and the memory. One is we need a screen for displaying purpose, and two, we will need the memory variables, main memory to handle the variables. These are the two things we will need in our coding in NSChart. Okay. When the screen is needed, if you are going to use the screen in your NSChart, we are going to show something on the screen. You will have to, if you are dry running, you will have to put a symbol like this and keep it. Okay, you have to put this. Draw a line like that and say screen, and this is the screen. So wherever your NSChart says show and something, that something you will show here in the screen for us to put it and show on the screen. So we need this screen. So whenever there is a screen activity required, draw something and keep it in a piece of paper. This is what is going to help you to do the dry run. One of the things that is going to help you to do the dry run. So whenever there is a screen requirement, put this. Okay. When the main memory is used, that is the variables. No, so for that, screen is not required directly unless you are going to show that. For variables, you just need a box like this and the name of the variable. Now we have already seen variables in our previous sessions, like the numeric variable and alphanumeric variable. This variable could be called name or age or salary or marks or anything like that. Okay, gender, whatever, right? So you put the name of the variable here and a box like this here, and this you have to do to represent each memory variable. So in your NSChart, if you are using two variables, there will be two boxes with the relevant names. The name for the first variable and name for the second variable, two boxes like this. If you have three variables, you will use three boxes like this and the names. 4, 5, so as many as however number of variables you have, that many number of boxes and the variable names you have to write down and keep it for you to dry run. So for your dry running purpose, you only require a screen thing whenever there is a screen requirement, and a variable manipulation requirement. You need a variable name in a box like this for each and every variable you are using in your NSChart. So these are the two things you will have to worry about as far as dry running is concerned in using the NSChart. Okay, one is this screen diagram, one is the box for each variable. Okay, so just remember that. Now let's see the instructions, a command we are going to use. Just taken from there. We are going to use these three commands now. Show to display something on the screen, get it from the keyboard into the computer, and this to assign to memory and handle memory variables. So these are our three commands. Okay, so now let's see how these three commands work along with the screen and the memory, right? So if your NSChart is only using show command, so in your NSChart you can't find a get or arrow like this, only the show is available, then you will need only the screen for dry run, so only this. So you don't need to write the boxes and the variables in that case. Okay, so it depends on what you have in your NSChart. So if your NSChart contains only the show and it doesn't have get or arrow, then all you need is the screen only for your dry running purpose. Okay, so you only use this and do the dry running, right? So that is one. Secondly, if you are using the get only, if you are not using the show or the arrow, only the get command is used in your NSChart, then for dry running you will need both the screen and the variable, because the get command can't get a value from outside and just keep it anywhere. Whatever that the computer has to keep it has to keep it in a variable. So get is always associated with a variable. Get and whatever the user is typing in will go into the variable. So therefore, and also whatever user is typing in will also be seen on the screen. So that is why the get command will require the screen as well as the variable. screen to show what the user is typing, and the variable to show that once the user types, the value gets written into the variable. So for where if you have a get in your NS chart, for you to dry run that, you will need the screen as well as the variable with the variable name. I have just put variable name here. Depending on whatever the name you have for your variable, you put it. If your variable name is called age, then you will have age here. If your variable name is called name, you will have name here. If it is gender, you will have gender. So whatever. Okay. So remember, if you have only show, all you need is only the screen part. If you have get, you will need the screen part as well as the variable part that the get is using. Get will always use a variable to accept something and put it. So when the user is typing the value, that will appear on the screen. So for that purpose, the screen is also required. So for get, we will need both the screen as well as the variable. Okay, so that is the second. So show only the screen, get both the screen and the variable, and finally we have this arrow. So let's see, this is here again they are showing just not one variable. Depending on how many variables you have in your NS chart, that many boxes you have to put with their names. Okay, so that is what this means. Now let's go to see how this arrow works. So if your NS chart is only using arrow command is to deal with the memory. No? So you will only need the memory variable. You don't need the screen because nothing will appear on the screen. Only the variable name will be there, whatever the variable name you used in your NS chart, and the box to represent that. And that again, for each variable you have in your NS chart, you have to write one box and a name, another box and a name, another box and a name, depending on how many variables. If you have just one variable, put one box and the name. If you have two variables, put two boxes and both the names. If you have three variables, put three boxes and three names. Like that, you continue. Okay. So this is basically what the arrow will allow you to do if you have only the arrow. Okay. So depending on the instructions and command used in your NS chart, you decide on what you need for your dry run. Do you need only the screen or do you need the variable? You decide. But generally you will find your NS chart might contain all show, get and arrow. All of them may be available in your NS chart. So then obviously you will need the screen as well as the relevant variables. So only screen and variables. That's all you have to decide to write down before you actually do the dry run. Okay. So remember that show will only require if you have only show. If you don't have anywhere in your NS chart a get or arrow, if you have only show, then you will only require the screen. If you have only get, no show and no arrow, then you will require the screen as well as the variable if it is a get, because get will take it always into a variable. And arrow only assigns values to a memory variable. Therefore, that will only require, if you are only using that, you only require the variable. So you look at your NS chart, what you have written down, looking at what it has, whether it has show or whether it has get or whether it has arrow or whether it has a combination of that. Based on that, you will write your screen and the amount of variables required, and that is your dry run environment. So in our next session, we will see how to actually do the dry run. Okay, so just remember these sessions. Thank you very much.